My friends, we got an enemy. A lot of people don't know it. This is Riell Truth. I'm Howard Riell. The call-in number 877-254-7524. Question: does America have a deadly enemy that our military can't even touch? Well, here's the answer. Item from InfoWars. Conservative news aggregator Matt Drudge has hit out at the media, specifically the Washington Post, after the newspaper announced the newsroom staff, quote, openly applauded a traffic spike after publishing a story that attacked the president, accusing Trump of revealing sensitive information to Russian diplomats. In a rare tweet, Drudge stated, Wash Post newsroom staff openly applauding at latest Trump hit finally clarifies how this has turned into nothing but a blood sport. He was referring to a writer from the Washington Post who openly applauded, sent out a tweet just about jubilant over the fact that Trump may have released classified information. More about that later. Drudge was responding to tweets by the Post's Glenn Kessler, who proudly bragged that applause had broken out in the newsroom when online viewing figures spiked. Applause in the newsroom as the Russia leaks scoop breaks the Hollywood Access record for most readers per minute, Kessler wrote. Unquote. In other words, the folks at the Washington Post, perhaps the most respected until now newspaper in America, are so against Donald Trump and his agenda of fixing what's broken in America, of safeguarding America, of restoring our economy, of rebuilding our military. They're so opposed to those things that they were applauding that another scandal, another leak has come out of the White House. My friends, America's got plenty of enemies. On the international scene, we've got lots of enemies and powerful and scary ones, but we've got domestic enemies too. The liberal press is working against the American people, not just against the Trump administration. The liberal press hates America in the same way Barack Obama hates America. They don't want America to succeed because from their liberal bias, they view America and their fellow Americans as enemies, as bad guys. Well, here's a news flash to the newsroom. America is not a bad guy. Americans are not bad people. We've revolutionized life on Earth. We've made it better, spreading freedom, spreading prosperity around the world. And if there's anyone out there who is applauding at the idea that the president's administration, which is setting about fixing things, making America great again, anyone out there applauding anything that stops the administration from doing that, anything that works against the average American, anything that lays us more open to attack by terrorists, well, they're on the side of the enemy. And that's probably where they're always going to stay. It's Tuesday. It's Riell Truth. I'll be back.
This is Michael, Control American. The American Freedom Network needs your help. Please call 205-645. That's 1-800-205-645 to make your donation. Or send a check for our money with P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, 80534. P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, 80534. Let the voice freedom on the air. Thank you.
Reason to own gold. Brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group at allamericangold.com. Reason number 647. Most people don't even know that the courts have already ruled. Once money is deposited into the bank owns the money, and the depositor is merely an unsecured creditor of the bank. Which means if the bank goes under, you get paid last. After the financial crisis, instead of breaking up too big to fail, the government and the Federal Reserve created Dodd-Frank and made too big to fail banks even bigger, while putting your deposits more at risk. I'm Joe Jakeman, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. To learn more, visit us at allamericangold.com or call us at 800-951-0592.
All right, folks, welcome back to Riell Truth. Howard Riell behind the microphone. Just a heads up, on Thursday, day after tomorrow, Nick Redfern returns to Riell Truth. He's got a new book out called The Roswell UFO Conspiracy, exposing a shocking and sinister secret. Now, what is that secret? Well, I know, and I'm willing to bet Nick Redfern knows. But you don't know, which means you've got to tune in on Thursday. And listen, I think it's going to be real interesting. Why is the Washington Post attacking Donald Trump every single day and applauding at things that seem to make him look bad? Well, the Washington Post was purchased shortly a few years ago by Jeff Bezos. And he has a personal axe to grind with Donald Trump. Rather than telling you about it, I'll let a buddy of mine tell you about it, a guy named Rush Limbaugh. Here we go.
Trying to do last night. McMaster goes out there after the Post. And by the way, don't forget who owns the Post. Who owns the Washington Post now? Well, yeah, Bezos, Amazon, Bezos, Amazon, Amazon, Bezos. You may say, so what, Rush? I mean, well, so what? Well, it wasn't that long ago that Donald Trump's got a feud going with Bezos. Trump has long threatened Bezos as having an unfair monopoly, and he may be violating antitrust. And so I think there's a little Bezos-Trump war going on here, in addition to whatever else is happening. But it is significant who owns the Washington Post. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the segment here that a connection I don't think we can ignore here is that between Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, and the Washington Post, and Trump. I have here a story from one of the blogs that I visit occasionally as part of pursuing my hobby of staying hip on high tech. A site is called Recode, and I went back to, I knew I'd seen this number, it said November 9th of last year, so this is after the election. And the headline here, Donald Trump said Amazon and Jeff Bezos have a huge antitrust problem. Now they may, because Trump won the election. The president-elect is certainly one to hold grudges. Here's the nub of the story. Let's state the obvious. Donald Trump and Jeff Bezos do not see eye to eye. And that becomes a more concerning prospect for Bezos and Amazon now that Trump is president-elect. In May, after learning of a large team of Washington Post reporters looking into his past, Trump told Fox News that Bezos was using the paper to damage Trump's chances because he feared what President Trump would mean for Amazon. Trump said he thinks I'm going to go after him for antitrust because he's got a huge antitrust problem because he's controlling so much. Amazon's controlling so much of what they're doing. He's using the Washington Post, which is peanuts. He's using that for political purposes to get Amazon in terms of taxes and in terms of antitrust. Trump's campaign later reiterated this narrative in a statement claiming that the Post was being used as a political leverage item so that Amazon doesn't get sued for monopolistic tendencies that have led to the destruction of department stores and the retail industry. Now, in response to this, Bezos has appeared undaunted in public. Bezos told an audience at this website's code conference last June, nearly a year ago, that, quote, a presidential candidate should embrace the media coverage that the country's democracy allows rather than fight it. More recently, Bezos called out Trump for his threats of retribution against media organizations he feels have wronged him. In the wake of Trump's win, I asked an Amazon spokesman if Bezos planned to comment. I was told that he doesn't. I remember when Bezos bought the Washington Post, there was a lot of curiosity about it. What the hell? I mean, he's an uber leftist. And everybody's known he's an uber leftist. And he's an uber leftist donor. And I remember the Washington Post staff, when it was announced that Jeff Bezos, Amazon, had bought the bid, they were panicked. He's not a journalist. He has no journalism background. The guy's a filthy capitalist retailer, happens to be a big leftist, and they were worried. Because as an outsider, Bezos doesn't know what he's doing. Bezos doesn't know journalism. He's an outsider. I think it's perfectly clear why Bezos bought the Post. He won it before Trump became president. I'm not saying anything there. I'm just saying you own the newspaper that reports on Washington and everything happening there. You're going to be deferred to greatly if your reporting is positive. And so Bezos was buying, I think, a huge insurance policy here. This is no different than, buying a lobbying group. When you're a retailer or a business, you have to lobby Washington because lobbyists in K Street actually run that town. That's where legislation originates, by the way, not in Congress. So you either hire a big lobbying firm to represent you and push your interests and make your cases known to members of Congress, or you buy the Washington Post, where a social page profile can make your life. So here's Bezos owning the Washington Post, which gives him total control, if he wants to exercise it, of the editorial content of the paper. That's better than any lobbying firm he could have ever bought into or hired. And with the threat here that Trump might pursue him on antitrust, I think there's a whole dynamic here going on that may be a little bit beneath the surface.
It's not only beneath the surface, it's beneath contempt because it challenges the future well-being of the United States. It's not good. Item from HeatStreet.com. In the latest installment of college kids' sad attempts at provocation, the Daily Californian's Hard and Soft podcast has released an episode solely featuring the noises of students at the University of California at Berkeley having sex and masturbating. Entitled Surprise Porn, the episode begins with a woman named Ashley speaking softly and introducing the, quote, little treat put together. For the next 5 minutes, listeners are given a show featuring various moans, vibrator hums, and other sounds that someone not exposed to Berkeley's sexual enlightenment might have problems identifying. The Daily Cal is known for its provocative coverage of campus sex life. In October of last year, paper columnist Chris Cox derided the gay hookup app Grindr as a perpetuator of, quote, bedside racism, unquote. My friends, if you're paying tuition to a liberal college, you can rest assured this is the kind of crap that's being put into your kids' ears either by the administration or by their fellow students. I'm telling you, when you're looking forward to sending your kids to a college, check out the college in depth and see if it's one of these bastions of liberal idiocy, because if it is, guess what? You're about to waste tens of thousands of dollars. We'll be back.
And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, this was he of whom I said, he who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
This is uniformed people really, police, firefighters, work in our community. We thank them for doing a great job in our area to live, shop, and raise a family. We realize their job is dangerous, sometimes death. This message is from Cyprus uniformed people in Greeley. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. And one of the most admired outsourcing companies in America. Census, the uniformed people in Greeley. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
All right, guys, welcome back. Howard Riell Truth. The liberal nitwits are not the only ones, the ones at the Washington Post, not the only ones gunning for Donald Trump and his administration and the way they're solving problems in America, making America more secure, more wealthy again. There are people out to stop that from happening. Those are our enemies. In fact, according to Roger Stone, he's here with Alex Jones, there are people planning to overthrow Donald Trump, and Roger Stone says he thinks he knows how they're going to do it. Let's listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here on Monday night.
Oh, hang on one second. Hold on one second, my friends. They're having the usual technical problems. Let's see if we can fix this. Okay, we can't. So we're going to scrap it. Instead, well, I've always got an ace up my sleeve. Let me go to Sean Hannity talking about this whole stink involving Russia and James Comey, okay? Here we go.
All right, so after the firing of James Comey, the destroy Trump propaganda media, destroy Trump Democrats, never Trumpers who have been seething in the dark, along with weak Republicans and, of course, the deep state, these groups are now working themselves into a feeding frenzy and clearly are now out for blood. But tonight, it's time for a reality check. Why James Comey deserved and needed to be fired, something they're not talking about, something the destroy Trump media won't tell you, because they have their own agenda. We know that. As we've been highlighting on this show, James Comey was a complete and utter failure. He disrespected the U.S. Constitution. He didn't care about the rule of law. He didn't care about equal justice under the law for every American. He did nothing about the violation of Fourth Amendment privacy rights, and of course, leaking of classified information, which is a crime, including the unmasking of Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, and then releasing that publicly. They created, in this case, a two-tier justice system. That's right, one for Hillary and Bill Clinton, and one for the rest of us.
All right, Sean, hang on one second. Hang on one second there, Sean Hannity. I've managed to undo the mechanical breakdown. Here's Roger Stone. Alex Jones, you got to hear this stuff, man. My friends, I couldn't make it up. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here on Monday night with breaking intel. We've been researching this for a while. We have our sources inside the Pentagon, inside the CIA, inside the White House. I'm here with Roger Stone right now. We're working late into the evening on this situation because it's so fast moving. You've seen McMaster come out and say there were no leaks inside this Russian meeting with Trump when he's probably the leaker, and we broke that down earlier in another video. You've got the entire deep state that's hijacked America panicking that the American people actually elected somebody who's trying to be president. Now, we knew this 3 months ago, and I first broke the plan. They are pushing a COG program to use deep state to overthrow the president. That's now admitted. And New Yorker Magazine and others are now saying that they've got members of the House, the Senate, Republican, Democrat, and members of Trump's inner circle and cabinet saying he's mentally ill under the 25th Amendment. They want to remove him from office. What he is stalwart, strong, on point, $3 trillion in the stock market, $300 billion in new jobs, and killing TPP and a conservative on the Supreme Court. He's bad because he won't roll over. He's mentally ill because he won't be influenced by a bunch of traitors and followers because he's a leader. Is he perfect? Hell no. I mean, I do a good job of maybe 67% of the time. Trump's doing like 90% of the time. So this is an amazing time to be alive. Roger Stone has talked to his sources. He's concurred with my analysis, and he has the sources that Trump is in great danger of overthrow right now. And they're moving forward on many fronts. So here is the plan to overthrow the president by the globalists in a bipartisan act of treason. Roger Stone.
Just a disclaimer right up front. They're going to say that this is a conspiracy theory, but it's the stone cold truth. They are going to claim that Donald Trump has Alzheimer's, and that it is progressive, and that is progressing, and that is the source of his insanity. I've talked to the president fairly recently. He is sharp as a tack. There is no evidence of any deterioration in his thought process. This is completely bogus. But under the 25th Amendment, if a majority of the cabinet plus the vice president agree that the president is incapacitated, well, then he is removed. And if he seeks to fight the charges, it goes to the U.S. House of Representatives, where erosion among the Republicans could destroy the Trump presidency. This is bogus. They could not beat him at the ballot box. So now they seek to remove him by claiming that he's insane.
My friends, doesn't it make you feel warm and cozy that 63 million Americans chose Donald Trump to be our president, but the political hack politicians say, screw the American people, we're going to use any slimy, dishonest method at our disposal to take the people's choice away from them and see to it that no, the problems plaguing America will not be solved. Doesn't it make you feel real good, real proud to be an American? Back to Roger Stone.
Look at his record on the economy. Look at his appointment to the Supreme Court. Look at the way he has the Chinese doing our dirty work in North Korea, and you will see he's not crazy. He's a genius.
I was about to say, if that's insane, we need more of it.
But this is the game plan. Watch carefully. You're going to see the word Alzheimer's more and more in the next several days. I've even been tipped off from leftists about this, that this is the game plan. You heard it first at Infowars.com.
And to be clear, we've seen this man, 200 psychologists and psychiatrists say he's crazy, violating the Goldwater rule, we can talk about in a moment for history, the guy that got you politically away, the guy that woke me up, even though he was in retirement at the time I read his writings. Extremism and defense of liberty is no vice. They know the psychiatry's been discredited by all their political actions. And so now they're shifting to, the Alzheimer's. Even though Trump's like climbing up hills playing golf, super smart, working 20 hours a day, has more stamina than I do at 43, they're still going to try to sell this hoax. And people say, we won't buy into it. It doesn't matter. They are so crazed. They are so scared. So speak to that. Then why is the elite so obsessed, so crazed, want to take Trump down? Because he's not perfect. I love to criticize him. I mean, I'm not wedded to Trump. But the enemies of America, the globalists, hate him like he's high noon to vampires. Why?
Because for 30 years, the two-party duopoly, the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas have had their way. And they're not going to relinquish power easily. Even today, inside the Trump administration, 80% of the people employed at the highest levels of government were appointed and are loyal to Barack Obama. That's largely because the president's chief of staff has not been able to build a government by telling the cabinet officers, half of whom I believe are disloyal to this president, that who they must hire. So you have a situation in which the idea that 200 psychiatrists who have never examined the president, and therefore no opinion they have would be valid, that didn't work. So now we're going to claim that he has the advanced stages of Alzheimer's. Folks, it's a fraud. They want to remove Donald Trump because he cannot be bullied and he cannot be bought.
And they call that mental illness. They call that mental illness, not being bullied. And people that claim they're anti-establishment then still buy into this in some like giant hoax brainwash program. What can we as the people do to expose the Republican establishment, and expose the Democratic establishment, and to do basic things that restore basic national sovereignty in this country? What do we do? We're not just passive players here.
If you have a Facebook feed, if you have a Twitter feed, if you're on Instagram or Snapchat, you're an army of one. You need to repost the very best links for InfoWars, from Stone Cold Truth. When you see a story from alternative media that you believe hits the mark, pass it on to others. Share it. This is how we defeat the globalists. We need your help. We need you to go to the InfoWarsStore.com and support us financially, because they have billions. The Googles, the Facebooks, the Yahoos, they have billions to fight us, and we have you.
Sure, exactly. When you see national news, they have Lockheed Martin ads, all this other crap, nobody questions it. Meanwhile, we're here. I always forget to even plug stuff. I've got Federal Reserve Board members suing me. I've got George Soros' law firm suing me. They're all over the news saying shut me down. And they're doing everything they can because they know I'm not sold out. I really don't want to screw people over. People go, the elite say I'm a chump, so I don't want to screw people over. But no, I'm not a chump. I don't treat people in ways I don't want to be treated. It's the golden rule. And it shows how weak the elite are, that they're so scared of you, Roger. They're so scared of us. And the listeners will just do this. We'll just spread these links. They will just research the facts we're raising here. It will change the world. And so that's where we are. There's a seismic shift happening. And Roger, I know you like to end these things quick, because less is more. But a lot of folks are tuning in right now. They're watching. We're out here live on the street. I've never seen in history, studying history, not just about it live, such a crazy, crazed assault
of lies and all the things that are happening, and it just doesn't make sense. You've got $3 trillion in the stock market, Goldman Sachs record profits, but still Goldman Sachs is lined up universally to destroy Trump. He's even brought Goldman Sachs in, and they're still trying to destroy him. And it's like crazy. Even the public, you'd already be under pressure right now if it wasn't for this. And a war. And a war. They don't care. They just, what is it? It is simply that Trump is a believer in American sovereignty. He believes in American power, American exceptionalism. He's a true patriot. They want global government. They want an end to American sovereignty. And he is in the way. He wasn't supposed to be elected. The old media was stacked against him. The new media was stacked against him. He was massively outspent. But the American people rallied to save this country. He is our last, best hope for the survival of the United States and the U.S. Constitution. And it just shows the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. The elite believe they're invincible, and here comes this reality TV, real estate golf course mogul destroying them, and then throwing huge mountains of prosperity on even the elite, not just the public, and they absolutely hate him for it. And so it's just very paradoxical to watch him with very good policies, very well thought out programs, getting more done than any president in my lifetime in the first 100 days. And they say a failure. Just you look at the Washington Post, New York Times. Washington Post is even worse. It is a fountain of vomit. It is a trendy right there. They're so threatened as cubs that their whole system is trying to be propped up. It's just the craziest thing ever. Look, the wind's bad. I want to finish up out of the wind. Let's go over here. On to the wind's bad. Look, Roger, a lot of people are watching right now. I want you to just spend a few seconds here, talking to folks about the Donald Trump you know. Donald Trump doesn't send me paychecks. I hardly ever even talk to Donald Trump. He talks to me more than I do. It's not about that. It's about this lion surrounded by hyenas. To a lesser level, we're experiencing that. And it's this kinship, knowing the policy, knowing he's doing good. And to see all these slaves of globalism, all these cucks. Most people support us, but a large minority doesn't. And it's very amazing to see how they always say F you and then race off with their tail between their legs. It's so sad that someone trying to empower them, they hate them because they love the change they were born in. They've made a giant mistake. They have pushed Donald Trump too far. And you push Donald Trump into a corner and you are going to get a snarling tiger. This guy is a fighter, and he has given up a fabulous lifestyle. He has sacrificed a great deal to take this job. He's separated from his family. He is living in Washington when he prefers New York. He has given up his golf game by and large, and he is putting in hours that I never expected, and I've known him for 40 years. He is resilient. He is tough. He is optimistic. Crazy? No, he's not crazy. He's resolved. He's resolved to make this country great again, and these attacks on him, in all honesty, will just in the end make him stronger and more resilient.
And that's what we need to hope for, my friends, and pray for. Because a strong Trump administration is a strong America. Item from KABC.com. California Congresswoman Maxine Waters has been calling for the impeachment of President Trump. But now there are those who are calling for her to be kicked out of office. Standing outside the Congresswoman's home in L.A. are over a dozen protesters, a mariachi band, and Omar Navarro. He ran against Waters and lost in 2016, but is getting ready for round 2 in 2018. Hashtag impeach Maxine. Maxine is talking about what about her not doing her job for 35 years, asked Navarro. Members of the black community and Latinos for Trump are out here protesting, calling for Waters to resign. Unquote. My friends, Maxine Waters is a crazy old hag who obviously is off the farm, needs to be sent to the glue factory. She is a laughingstock at this point. And wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if the Democrats chose her to be their standard bearer in the next election? I think it would be funny. All right, we're taking a break. We'll come back. More video, more news, more outrages. My friends, I should have called this show the Daily Fiasco. It's Riell Truth, and we'll be right back.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood.
superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at bioage.com. Spelled BIOAGE.com. bioage.com. Or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge. The age of advanced organic.
Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter in Lafayette remind us, no one anywhere is more noble, righteous, selfless, or courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families foot the bill for our freedom every day. Send a military care package today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they care.
Elizabeth Lockerplan and Elizabeth reminds our listeners that the drug problem is well documented. We know our kids will be approached at early age. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community who have had the strength to say no to drugs. They provide examples to their peers and families to be the best they can be. That's from Elizabeth Lockerplant, located at 366 Grant Street in Elizabeth, serving our area since 1943 and specializing in naturalized HB and complete custom process. Call 303-688-2240. That's 303-688-2240.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Welcome back to Riell Truth. Howard Riell. Remember, on Thursday, Nick Redfern will be my guest. His new book, The Roswell UFO Conspiracy, exposing a shocking and sinister secret. How's that for a teaser? Every president, upon taking office, has said the same thing. We're going to move the American embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Donald Trump said it, but is he going to do it? Here's Mark Levin.
Days, if not the last few weeks, as I'm sure many of you have, the President, Donald Trump, who campaigned vigorously and unequivocally on moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He did it repeatedly. And I've been watching with great frustration and concern how he appears to be in the midst of betraying that promise. And I hope this isn't becoming a habit or a pattern. We will play the Secretary of State soon on his interview Sunday, which was an abomination. I told you about McMaster. It was really awful. He is the assistant to the President for National Security. He's wiping out one conservative after another over there and trying to wipe out others. He is what we would call a military bureaucrat at this point. How he was using the language of the PLO and Hamas, calling Judea and Samaria, these are ancient Jewish lands, ancient Jewish lands, Judea and Samaria. It's not a West Bank, the West Bank of Jordan. Jordan gives it the name West Bank, and we're all supposed to say West Bank. Might as well call it Israel's East Bank. But it's not Israeli-occupied territory. It's Palestinian-occupied territory, to be historically accurate. And yet so quickly and easily has the President of the United States fallen into the lap of the leftists, of the bureaucrats, of the State Department, of the swamp.
when he unequivocally stated that we're going to move the embassy. So why doesn't he move it? What's stopping him? Ladies and gentlemen, this is hugely important from a symbolic point of view, and it has real world effect too. But now they're linking it to a peace negotiation. What is the president's obsession now with a peace negotiation? Where did this come from? In many respects, a two-state solution for Israel is a final solution for Israel. That country, they can't make a mistake, you know. One part of the country is 7, 8, 9 miles wide. One of these Russian MiGs, I mean, before you blink, it's covered the entire width of that particular area of Israel. When you look at the Golan Heights, the enemy's all around. Now, as I told you, I'm going over there next week for the 50th anniversary of the reunification with Jerusalem. Do you know the Palestinians claim the entirety of Jerusalem? Including Jewish sites that are over 5,000 years old? So why is the President of the United States playing footsie with Abbas, who was a known terrorist? Let me repeat that. Abbas dresses nicely. He comes to the United States. He makes what people consider reasonable demands. And then when he goes back, they continue to fund terrorism. They continue to encourage their children in elementary school and even preschool to become suicide bombers. I'm not even talking about Hamas. I'm talking about Fatah. Oh, the moderates. Well, is that moderate in your neighborhood? Ain't it moderate in my neighborhood? I don't know what the president's doing. There's mixed reports today. He's going to go to the Wailing Wall, which is arguably the most important Jewish site. There's a report in Israel, 2 reports really, one in the Jerusalem Post and one by their local TV station, that one of the president's senior people over there, when asked if the Prime Minister of Israel can accompany our president, because our president now reportedly is going to go to the wall, he raised his voice and he said, this is not in Israeli territory. Excuse me. The Western Wall is not in Israeli territory? Well, where is it? Where is it? This is amazing. Now, Abbas, just so you know, got his doctorate in Holocaust denial. PhD dissertation was in denying the Holocaust. This is a gruesome, loathsome, genocidal maniac who is treated as if he's some kind of a statesman. But McMaster, the assistant to the president for national security, was using the language of this man. So he's calling Judea and Samaria the West Bank. Excuse me, not even doing that. He's calling it Palestine. Palestine. The Palestinians call it Palestine. It's like climate change. We've gone from global cooling to global warming to climate change. Well, now we've gone from what is correct, Judea and Samaria, to the West Bank, and now to Palestine. When did that happen? We had an armistice agreement. That's the only reason those boundaries exist. They were never intended to be permanent. Now we treat it as if they're permanent. Now, I don't know what the president's thinking. Maybe it's because he's not informed about this. He's not knowledgeable about it. So he's susceptible to being pressured or influenced or whatever. Because he's surrounded by guys like Tillerson and McMaster and the usual types who are pushing this agenda. Why did the president say that he would move our embassy to Jerusalem when he didn't mean it? Why would he do that? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so complicated? And why now? Well, I want you to listen to this. Actually, I got to take a break. Stay where you are. Bated breath and all. And by the way, we're going to cover many, many things, but I want you to listen to this because you're not going to hear this anywhere else. And there's a lot of reasons for that. People don't want to be viewed as critical of the president. I'm not critical of the president all the time. I want him to succeed. But I'll be critical of him when I think I need to be critical of him. It was that way with Ronald Reagan, and I worked for Ronald Reagan, although I didn't have to be that critical, quite frankly. But this is a big deal, isn't it? It's a big deal. Why is he treating the president of China, Xi, one way, and Netanyahu another, in my humble opinion? I want you to listen to this Secretary Tillerson on Sunday on Meet the Depressed. Which cut is it? The cut 10.
All right, guys, I'll tell you what. We're about to hit a break, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this up on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio, R-I-E-L-L. Go there, listen to it, share it, discuss it. Item from the Gateway Pundit. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst, went on Fox Business Network on Monday to discuss allegations Senator Rand Paul and another senator were under surveillance by the Obama administration. Napolitano also dropped a bomb on the Obama administration, spying on the U.S. Supreme Court. Napolitano, quote, Justice Scalia told me he often thought the court was being surveilled, and he told me that probably 4 or 5 years ago, if they had to unmask Senator Paul's name to reveal a conversation he was having with a foreign agent, and the foreign agent was hostile to the United States, they can do that. That's not what he's talking about. They're talking about unmasking him when he's having a conversation with his campaign manager and when he's running in the Republican primary. During the discussion, Judge Napolitano also said Barack Obama could be subpoenaed to testify if he viewed the unmasked intelligence. Unquote. Now, my friends, I already hear what liberals are saying. Already hear it. Surveilling people is illegal unless you're Barack Obama, because after all, he was the first black president. We'll be back.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16. Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Ferris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Ferris Survival.
American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Please make every effort to keep track of your little ones at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228.
All right, welcome back, my friends. The fight against lies, dishonesty, chicanery, and anti-Americanism, yes, I'll use that phrase, continues. Fox and Friends talking about the intel community wanting to damage Donald Trump. They're going to bring Laura Ingraham on in a minute. It's worth listening to. Here we go.
Of course, our top story, the Washington Post, says President Trump shared highly classified information with the Russian ambassador and foreign minister last week in the Oval Office. The White House has denied it, and the Russians have come out this morning, and they've denied it as well. And now let's look at some of the tweets that the president has just put out regarding this situation after H.R. McMaster came out last night and written statements from Dina Powell and Dina Powell and Rex Tillerson. He says this: as president, I want to share with Russia and openly schedule a White House meeting, which I have the absolute right to do, facts pertaining to terrorism and airline flight safety, humanitarian reasons. Plus, I want Russia to greatly step up their fight against ISIS and terrorism.
And now we bring in Laura Ingram to react, who was given instant analysis last night on Special Report. Laura, we saw you do some great work last night. What would you like to add to the story today after the president's tweets?
The president's tweet that you just read confirms what both Dina Powell and Rex Tillerson's statement and H.R. McMaster's statement last night said. The critics of the president, and I would include in that the authors of the Washington Post piece that they were celebrating in the newsroom of the Washington Post about yesterday. They believe and they maintain that what the president revealed, while not illegal, because he has the right as the chief executive to declassify information if that's what he chooses to do, they concede it's not illegal, but that basically it's irresponsible and could compromise those other source countries that are helping us and sources that are helping us in the fight against ISIS. But in that tweet that you just read, the president said his goal is to have Russia greatly step up their fight against ISIS, which we all know has done enormous damage and bring instability to the region, causing the big humanitarian crisis with the migration to Europe. And that's where we are right now. But it was amazing to watch this unfold last night with the egregious feeding frenzy that took place not just in newsrooms, but was jumped on by some Republican senators like Bob Corker, who just take lock, stock, and barrel, whatever some leaker who gave information to the Washington Post said, and said, well, I find this disturbing that this could be happening. So, as usual, the critics of the president and the Senate jump all over reports before we really learn more.
They made the right choice as Secretary of State not to pick him.
Right. Well, exactly. And again, remember where we are right now. We're at a point where the media and certain critics of the president want him to stay off narrative and stay off message. He's about to leave on this historic trip to the Middle East, to Rome, to the Vatican. This is a big deal trip, and anything they can do to nick him up and scar him up before he goes over there, they will do. You know, and this is just part and parcel of that.
What's interesting is the leaker was so upset that the president allegedly leaked the stuff that they went to the Washington Post and leaked the information.
Yeah, and a couple of us last night after Special Report were positing that the report in the Washington Post could be more damaging than certainly whatever happened inside the Oval Office with Lavrov and 3 other principals from the White House and from National Security, State, whatever was discussed is the Washington Post piece, even though they say, well, we're not reporting on the source country information, the signal source information that we believe was compromised. But I want to go back, though, for a moment to what we were all discussing in January. In January, LifeZet wrote the first piece about the problem of leaks inside this administration. And at the time, like, no one was talking about it. We did a big piece on it on LifeZet. And this problem continues to plague this administration. And whatever they need to do to stop irresponsible leaks or disgruntled employees from rushing to the media, they ought to do, because they are the ones who are compromising our international relations. As far as I know now, maybe we'll learn something else, but the information I have now indicates that the administration is being very consistent in how they're responding to this. Very consistent.
But it sounds like, according to the Washington Post, some of the sources for this, it sounds like there were 2 leaks, a former and a current member of the administration. So we know that the Obama people were out to get Mr. Trump, although you made the joke last night that it could have been somebody from the Reagan administration, but probably not.
Well, also, Ducey, remember that there are probably people still inside the national security apparatus who worked in the Obama administration. It doesn't mean they can't be loyal public servants and do a great job, but we just don't know that yet.
Laura,
we don't know.
But the way it seems, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, because you had the information unfolding coming right to you there. The way it seems is, well, whoever's in that room was in that room, and because something was revealed, H.R. McMaster picked up the phone and called over to the NSA and CIA and said, listen, we went over certain things with the Russians. We just want to make sure that you know, and there's no there, but we want to explain to you that we did tell them about the ISIS information, and maybe the town. And somehow it got from the intelligence apparatus to the Washington Post with the name and all the details there. So I can't imagine Mike Pompeo doing that. But somehow they got from there to the Washington Post.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the Russian photographer, Lavrov, Kislyak.
We learned that last night.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that phone call that the president had with the Prime Minister of Australia, where supposedly he hung up on him. Next thing you know, it's on the front page of the newspaper.
Now, think about what is right now compromising U.S. interests. In my view, what is compromising U.S. intel interests is a senior level intel officer, intermediate level. We don't know who McMaster talked to. He's not going to reveal that. Who clearly, in the subsequent reporting, seems to have been the one who got this ball moving down the field last night in this Washington Post report. That is really disturbing. That is a crime.
My friends, these are all crimes. And the thing that's, let's look for a common thread, because we're about to go to a commercial break. What's happening in all these stories? Well, it's easy. It's simple. Give you the 30,000-foot perspective. Donald Trump came to Washington to drain the swamp. But the swamp is a hell of a lot bigger than even he knew. It's Democrats, it's Republicans, it's the intelligence community, it's the media, it's the globalist community around the world. It's just about everybody except Donald Trump and the people who voted for him. It's that dire. I kid you not. We'll take a break and we'll wrap things up here on Riell Truth.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
Census uniform people in Greeley, police, firefighters, and we thank them for doing a great job. Place to live, shop, and raise a family. They realize their job is dangerous, sometimes death. Uniform people in Greeley. Call 352-2233. They're on the air because they care. And one of the most admired outsourcing companies in America. Census, the uniform people in Greeley. Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
Item from the LA Times on Friday. The popular queer punk band PWR-BTTM, that's Power Bottom, was supposed to be celebrating the release of Pageant, its highly anticipated second album. The duo, which was birthed at Bard College and signed to the respected indie punk label Polyvinyl, had its devoted fan base abuzz and were plotting a spring tour, but in a Facebook post a few days before the release, an acquaintance made explosive allegations about the band's behavior, accusing member Ben Hopkins of, quote, inappropriate sexual contact with people despite several no's and without warning or consent, unquote. Within days, Power Bottom went from future stars to pariahs. In survival mode, the group, which also includes Liv Bruce, issued a statement that addressed the issue head-on. Noting that they were surprised by the allegations, the joint statement pledged to address them with, quote, openness and accountability, unquote. My friends, who would possibly have expected such behavior from a queer punk band named Power Bottom? Not me. Item from Breitbart. As unpublished border security bill drafted by Texas Senator John Cornyn does not curb employers' ability to hire low-wage illegals and endorses less than 10 miles of extra border wall. But immigration experts say it may provide political cover for a 2017 amnesty push by Democrats and business groups. There are a lot of sound things and necessary things in the bill, but there are a lot of necessary things that are conspicuously missing. It looks like more of a half-hearted attempt into fooling the public than a step forward in enforcement, said Jessica Vaughn, policy director at the Center for Immigration Studies. There's nothing on E-Verify for verifying the legality of job applicants. There's nothing on worksite enforcement at all, so I'm a little bit skeptical how much difference it would make for actually reducing illegal immigration, said Vaughn, who described the bill as, quote, lipstick on a pig, unquote. My friends, you want to stop American companies from hiring illegals? Good. $1 million fine per illegal if caught. Item from Breitbart. An asylum seeker in Germany brutally tortured a fellow migrant by cutting off his eyelids and blinding him by shoving a pen into his eyes over a €50 debt. The brutal attack occurred last October when 20-year-old asylum seeker Mustafa H. turned up at the apartment of 19-year-old Dawat W. in the town of Schluchtern to collect the debt. When the 19-year-old could not pay, Mustafa stabbed him with 2 knives in the neck and tortured him. German magazine Bild reports. The torture didn't end with stabbing. Mustafa proceeded to bite off the Eritrean migrant's ears, and when he finished, he cut off his victim's eyelids. Unquote. Now, my friends, I'm sure that Muslim immigrants here in America will be much more gentle than that, especially when they're spending time with your children. Your little son, your little daughter will be spending time with other Muslim migrants just like this guy. If you love your children, grandchildren, do everything in your power to prevent Muslim migrants from coming to the United States. If I spent this entire hour saying only that sentence, it would have been an hour well spent. The last thing we need is third world Islamic horror coming to America. Donald Trump is working to prevent it, and the Democrats are working to bring them here. So you tell me, for the umpteenth time, why on earth you would ever vote for a Democrat. I will be back tomorrow, my friends, with more Real Truth. Hasta luego.